Tonight on Red Eye.
Coming up on Red Eye, is General Motors making a huge mistake with its newest line of vehicles? We'll examine their risky decision to build a new fleet powered entirely by hay and oats. Plus, does the president think comedian Tom Shalhoub is in fact a serial killer?
Let's put to rest, once and for all. Look at the evidence. There's no doubt.
And finally, is a gas mask and a cold glass of water all you really need to scare the crap out of your kids? Yep, pretty much. None of these stories on Red Eye tonight.
I'm Tom Shalhoub, sitting in Greg Gutfeld's seat. I feel like Goldilocks in Baby Bear's chair. It feels just right. Rumor has it Greg will be back tomorrow. And now let's welcome our guests. She's a reporter that wears thick rimmed glasses, but you won't fool me, Supergirl. I'm here tonight with National Review reporter Katherine Timpf. If waving was a sport, she'd be the world champion until she develops carpal tunnel syndrome and is forced to retire. It's Joanne Nosachinski. He's opposed to data collection on civil libertarian grounds and data collection because he abhors surrealism. It's TV's Andy Levy. And he's a clean comic. He still swears in his act, but the club owner makes him mop up the place when he's done. It's writer and comedian Keith Alberstadt.
A-Block, the lead. That's the first story.
Did the NFL prefer not to know? TMZ reports that the league never reached out to the casino to request video of Ray Rice punching his fiancée. Workers there say they would have handed over the elevator surveillance tape, but no one asked. On Tuesday, Commissioner Roger Goodell spoke to CBS News.
Did you know that a second tape existed?
Well, we had not seen any videotape of what occurred in the elevator. We assumed that there was a video. We asked for video. We asked for anything that was pertinent, but we were never granted that opportunity.
Meanwhile, Rice's wife is defending him. Janae Palmer, who's married to the Ravens running back, she married earlier this summer, and declined to press charges, posted a message on Instagram. It reads in part, "No one knows the pain that the media and unwanted opinions from the public has caused my family. To make us relive a moment in our lives that we regret every day is a horrible thing. To take something away from the man I love that he has worked his ass off for his whole life just to gain ratings is horrific." Well, what do you think, Keith? Before you comment on Janae, tell me, did the NFL, do you think they could have gotten that tape that they didn't want to?
I have a hard time believing that because it's the Teflon sports league. Like, they've got so much going on and nothing sticks to them. They got concussion scandals. They got bounty gate. I just think he dropped the ball like Tim Tebow threw him. You don't think so? You don't think that they didn't? You don't think that they did anything wrong, essentially? I'm not saying that. I think it's egregious they didn't ask. I just think they dropped the ball. They weren't. I don't think they deliberately ignored the asking for the tape.
Come on, Katherine.
Come on.
I detect that you're suspicious because you're saying "come on" to Keith's face.
Right, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Why wouldn't they have wanted to watch it? Right. I mean, clearly it's made it very easy on them. They've all been having a great work week having to deal with all this stuff. It's a lot easier to just say, you know what? Pretend it didn't happen. Okay, sure, we'll do something about it. I mean, look at what's happened because of this. Of course they'd rather not have to see it so that they're not responsible.
Now, taking this late action, do you think it's helped NFL or do you think it's hurt? It makes them look like they're running scared, doesn't it?
Yes, but what are they going to do? Do nothing? No matter what at this point, after looking at this video, they're in trouble. Whether they said they saw it or not, I don't know why it really even proves anything, though, because what did they think happened in that elevator? Right. What did they think happened? Right. She was knocked unconscious. That was the most disturbing part of the video, I thought, was after, and everyone already saw that.
Also, did you hear his denial? They said, did you see a second tape? And he said, we weren't, whatever his word was. He said we assumed there was another tape, but we didn't have the opportunity to see it. He didn't say we asked for it and we didn't get it. He said we didn't have the opportunity.
And other stuff.
First of all, I believe he's straight up lying when he says nobody in the league saw that tape. Too many reporters accurately described the tape based on league sources back in July. ESPN's Chris Mortensen was told back in May, I'm sorry, not July, he was told from a source in the league who saw the tape that or that said he saw the tape, that Rice hit Janae 2 times, and that after the second time she struck her head on the railing and was knocked unconscious. Well, that's exactly what's on the tape.
Yeah.
So the source obviously wasn't lying.
Well, maybe it was a case just like the you remember the sports scandal out at the college with the the pedophilia
Penn
scandal.
State.
Yeah, at Penn State.
Yeah.
They willfully they didn't want to know the answer. Okay, so wasn't this the case that maybe Roger Goodell didn't see it, maybe no one in the home office saw it?
You don't have to say you're responsible then. If you say I didn't see it, that's what I do when I'm walking down the streets. I'm like, I don't see a mugging. I'm not looking.
But what I'm saying is, what do they, by investigating further, what do they have to lose? It's not like this
Look
is
at
the
what's
goal.
happened.
It's not like the goal, but it's the NFL. Nobody's going to stop watching. They got so much going for them. It's not like this is Peyton Manning, some golden boy NFL pedestal player. It's Ray Rice. He's a great player and everything, but if they went and investigated further and got this tape and showed it a long time ago when it originally happened, they're still going to have everybody in the country watching their games.
Right, but it's a black mark on the league that one of their players did that, and I think if they could prevent this tape from getting out, you would still have people out there saying, well, we saw the aftermath.
Yeah.
We don't know what happened in that
It's very
elevator.
different, like, actually seeing it. And that's why the media is bringing all this up again when Janae is saying, why does this have to happen again? Because when the public sees that happen to you, we care about you. And we want to make sure that he is punished.
So we care about her, right? But I sympathize with her. Her point, not just I sympathize with the fact that her husband punches her. I sympathize with the fact that she's saying, look, now our life is extra ruined. I mean, what do we, isn't it terrible?
She said everyone stopped talking about it, so now instead we're talking about how she said don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And now here I am talking about how we were told not to talk about it. We're talking about how we shouldn't talk about it.
Like, you have to understand that he belongs to a brand. You're going to be in the public eye.
Right.
And you're role models for people. As much as maybe you don't want to be, you are.
But it's
so
also horrible to turn on, every time you turn on the TV,
Oh, of course.
you're either getting punched in the face or someone's talking about it. Like right now, for example, if you turn on the channel, we'll be talking about it, and that's tough. Well, you do have to expect it, of course, you're right, but it still is horrible.
And if we care about her, I mean, why do we want him home? Shouldn't he be? We'd rather have him at practice than hanging around at home.
I do think that the focus.
I'm not kidding.
The conversation does need to change, I think, from we need to punish him, what are we going to do to punish him, to how can we help people who are involved in domestic abuse, who have been abused by a partner. How can we help them? I think that the focus needs to shift from that. And I think that's kind of what Joe Biden was trying to do in his interview when he said his statement.
Well, Joe Biden was running interference for the NFL. He said, regardless of when it happened, they're doing the right thing. So Joe Biden was definitely helping out the NFL there.
Yeah, but I mean, and look, I think he's right. They're doing the right thing now. They should have done it back then. The original police report said that Rice had caused, quote, bodily injury to Janae Palmer, specifically by striking her with his hand, rendering her unconscious. He got a 2-game suspension from the league, the full support of his loathsome coach, John Harbaugh, and his team. Then the video came out showing that Rice had caused bodily injury to Janae Palmer, specifically by striking her with his hand, rendering her unconscious. And suddenly he's cut by the team and suspended indefinitely by the league. In other words, nothing changed except we saw what we already knew happened.
Exactly.
So, and that's the only reason the Ravens and the league acted now, and they should have acted back then. And I don't know if this is the end for Roger Goodell. I hope it's, as Bomani Jones said on ESPN on Monday, I hope it's at least the beginning of the end, because he has to go.
Keith, you were going to make a point, but also I'm going to ask you a question to destroy your point. Isn't this an argument to not trust these organizations at all? If a crime is committed, call the police. All right? He went through the court system, and the judge let him off. With
well, the prosecutor declined to prosecute.
Okay, well, there was some kind of a deal, right?
Yeah,
you would call it
pre-trial.
The pre-trial intervention.
Yeah.
Okay, so he went through the court system. So why don't we just let it at that? Why don't we say that he went through the court system, and that's the way we mete out justice?
Right, our justice system's perfect.
Well,
right?
no, I mean,
there's never any corruption.
Okay,
in these big
it's not perfect, but isn't that what we call due process, right?
Yeah, but when you've signed a contract, and it's a part of
okay,
your
well,
job,
they can do whatever they want. But the thing is that we are acting like, Puritans in the public square. We're calling for his head, and we're saying the NFL has to do something about it. The justice system has to do something about it. If it's a crime, it's not a scandal.
Why can't it be both?
Well, I guess it can be both, but I think that why are we relying on these organizations, Keith, You were going to make a point about the NFL, but what, we can't trust these organizations to do any policing. So why do we ask them to do it?
That's a good question. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think the fact that we're all talking about this leads me to believe that maybe this story was, this video was planted by Dan Snyder of the Washington Redskins. So
it certainly
deflect our attention.
It does deflect our attention.
I want to say one thing about Janae's comments, if I may interrupt.
You may.
One thing, I think the underlying message she was trying to make in that Instagram was, with all due respect, it could be worse. I could have married Ray Lewis. Who killed a guy? He killed a guy.
Yeah, no, I know that.
Well, did he?
But did he? I mean, I don't think we can say that. Anyway, listen.
I do think, though, Rice said on Tuesday, I have to be strong for my wife. I think, actually, that was the problem.
No, it was his behavior. Now, I mean, okay, Andy, check this out. DiGiorno Pizza accidentally inserted themselves into the story. On Monday night, they tried to jump onto a Twitter hashtag. It was the Why I Stayed hashtag. Can we show it? The hashtag was for survivors of abuse, which they, of course, didn't realize. Why I stayed because you had pizza. And then, of course, the backtracking. A million apologies. Did not read what the hashtag was about before posting. Isn't that the job of the social media director?
Yeah.
All they have to do is that one thing.
Dumb tweet, honest mistake. I mean, I don't think they should be pilloried for it. It was stupid. Whoever the guy or the girl doing the posting there deleted the tweet within 10 seconds or something
probably
like that.
Pretty embarrassed.
And I mean, look, it was stupid, but it obviously wasn't meant.
What did they think it was? Like why I stayed at the party?
Maybe.
They just didn't think, they thought it was just a random thing. I agree. If you're a social media manager for
you should probably
you should look.
You look at the trend. You look at it.
Yeah.
It definitely was not delivery in that case, though. It was definitely DiGiorno.
Yes.